still taking its time. Sorry. I'll let you know. Okay, you're good.
Right, we'd like to call this meeting of the CFD Special Committee to order. Start by reading off our land acknowledgement. The Altadena Library District acknowledges its presence on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded land of the Gravelina Tonga peoples. Altadena is located on the stolen homelands of the Hahamunga tribal band. The traditional territory of the Gravelina Tonga is referred to as the Vangar, which includes the areas currently known as Los Angeles County, Riverside County, West San Bernardino County, parts of Orange County, as well as the 4 Southern Channel Islands. Entities such as the U.S. government and non-native settlers have subjected the Gabrielino Tonga peoples to historic and continuing injustices, including genocide, forced displacement, and cultural and linguistic erasure. Altadena Library commits to learning, educating, and informing its staff and residents of present-day Altadena about the rich histories, vibrant communities, and culture of Gabrielino Tonga people, present and past, through our collection development, resources, and program offerings. I'd like to open the session with our roll call. Trustee Robin?
Present.
Boone? Present. Present. Do we have any reordering of our agenda items?
None.
None? All right. Do I need to vote on that? No. All right. We will adopt the agenda. Do we have any public comment on agenda items?
Do you think we have to vote on adopting the agenda?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry, yes.
Yeah.
I need to vote on to adopt the agenda.
All right.
Sorry, I thought you meant reordering agenda items.
Yeah.
I move to adopt the agenda.
Okay. I second. Aye. Can we just roll call?
Yeah.
Aye.
Yes,
Okay. And then no public comment. And so we have the approval of the minutes from the meeting held on May 15th. Any questions? Can we approve the meeting minutes?
I move to adopt approval of the minutes.
I second. Let's roll call vote. Aye. All right. And then we move on to our special presentation with the folks online, hopefully.
Hello, Renal. Hello, Sarah.
Hi. Do you want me to share my screen and start the presentation?
The ability to do that. I'll make you co-host. Let me know if it's not letting you do it still for some reason.
Okay. Can you see my screen?
Not yet.
Oh, I can see it now.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Then let me put it in slideshow mode and we can get started. So this discussion will be for the 2025-26 annual special tax levy related to the CFD. Just for a brief recap and background, the CFD was established to finance certain improvements to the district's main library and Bob Lucas Memorial Branch. So, capital improvements there, and the operation, maintenance, repair, and provision of any other services with respect to any library facility or services. Those are to be financed through special taxes levied within the CFD. In 2022, the CFD issued bonds to finance the capital improvements portion. One of the covenants in the indenture of trust, which governs the bonds, is that the district must levy and collect special taxes in an amount sufficient to pay annual debt service on the bonds when due, as well as administrative expenses and any amounts to replenish the reserve fund so that it meets the reserve requirement. Now, annually, what happens is that the NBS, as your special tax administrator, has to determine, according to the rate and method of apportionment that was approved in connection with the formation of the CFD, what the special tax requirement is. And the special tax requirement is based on a number of factors. And it's the annual debt service on all outstanding bonds that are for that year that will be payable in that year, to replenish any bond reserve that may have been drawn upon, to finance authorized services, to pay for administrative expenses for the coming year, as well as replenish the operating reserve and account for any reasonably anticipated delinquencies. And according to the rate and method of apportionment, first you have to levy up to the maximum special tax for developed property. And then second, you levy for taxable contingent property. Now I'm going to turn it over to Sarah because of the fires, there has been a change in the number of parcels classified as developed parcels, and so she can walk you through the numbers on this slide.
Thanks, Brenna. Yeah, so we were able to, using the county data, identify parcels that had been classified as developed in the past and now are actually classified as taxable contingent properties. So that is 5,187 parcels are now in that taxable contingent parcel category, which leaves 8,257 developed properties. So as we apply the rates and the method of apportionment, we, as Mrinal mentioned, we have to levy those developed parcels at 100% before we develop of their maximum before we levy any of the taxable contingent parcels. The other piece of information that I think is important here is that this is the first year that the CFD is levying for services. Previously, the parcel tax was charged, and there was authorized services were funded through the parcel tax that expired after 24-25 levy last year. So this is the first year that the CFD is levying for those authorized services. So that's a change where the services were not levied as part of the CFD before. So looking at all of that, we calculate the budget that included all of those items Brenal mentioned, and we are looking at rates for the developed property as shown here. The initial rate was 10 cents per building square foot in the RMA. That, of course, is escalated by 2% on an annual basis. So we're just a little higher than that at this point on the maximum. But those are the maximum special tax rates on the developed property. If we are looking at a budget that includes all of the requirements Brenal mentioned, the debt service on the bonds, the administrative expenses, anticipated delinquencies, as well as the amount for services funding, then we are, then that would necessitate levying the taxable contingent parcels at about 5.5 or 0.056 cents per building square foot, and you can see the other rates for the other property there. So those are the proportional amounts that we would need to levy those parcels in order to fund all of those options. Next slide. So there are some choices to be made here in terms of what we're doing on that maximum special tax. So we can either levy the maximum special tax on developed property and, to the extent necessary, on taxable contingent. Those were the numbers that were shown on the previous slide. Option 2 is to levy the maximum tax on only developed property. And option 3 is to levy less than the maximum tax on developed property. The consequences of each of those choices are listed here. So for option 1, where we're levying the maximum on developed and levying taxable contingent to the extent necessary, that means the district would be able to fully fund debt service, administration, anticipated delinquencies on the bonds, as well as fund the authorized services. Option 2, where we're only levying we're levying at the maximum special tax on developed property, we would be able to fund all of the bond items, so debt service, admin, and delinquencies, but we would have a shortfall on services of about $519,000. And on option 3, where we're levying less than the maximum tax on developed property, we would need to know how much less, right, to tell you exactly what the consequence would be. But you have a covenant that you need to levy for all of your debt service items. So we would have a shortfall really on the authorized services, and it could be as much as that line item of the budget, which is $1,020,400. And I think that concludes our presentation, and we're happy to have any discussion or answer questions.
Sorry, could you put the last slide back up, please?
Sure.
And could you explain again the legalese? So if we want to do anything with the contingent properties, we have to levy the maximum tax on the developed properties, correct?
That's right.
Okay. Okay. And was there a math page somewhere that showed if the fire didn't happen, what the rate would have been, like 0.75 or something? Is there anything like that?
Oh, no, we didn't calculate what the rate would have been. So it would have been similar to the rate in the CFD last year, but adding in that services component. So
Right.
probably somewhere around that number sounds like it would be about right, but we did not do that calculation.
Okay.
Yeah, and just so you
No
know,
questions?
this is what was levied last year between the CFD and the parcel tax.
Right.
This year it's about $15,000 less because we maintained the same service funding that we collected from the parcel tax last year, which is $1,020,400. We set that same budget number.
Right.
No questions from me.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for the presentation. We just thought it would be nice to have a little refresher on what rate and method of apportionment is and how we get to these decisions each year.
Okay, thank you. And then we go on to new business. So we'll start with the financial report.
Hi, Kirsty.
Christy, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. I'm so sorry. I was trying to unmute. I am here. I was here listening. Sorry about that.
Might be helpful to pull up the reports because we're on the Surface Hub in the office.
Okay, you want me to share?
Pull it up if you want.
Yeah, let me share.
Oh, you can, Carolina? Okay, that'd be great.
If you want me to share.
So just let her know where you want it to be.
Okay. Yeah, let's go into the first report if you can, Catalina. There we go. Okay, so this is where this is preliminary. We have a few audit entries to make yet. But as of the end of June, you can see that the new revenue that came in for interest and donations is about 1.2, and expenditures are 3.5, which means we've dipped into both bond reserves, or excuse me, bond proceeds and the grant funds to about $2.3 million. And the main line, of course, here are construction costs, which is the Bob Lucas. So after this year, when we finally have, those final expenses are in, what we're going to start seeing will be mainly Maine. Right now, you're seeing both Bob Lucas and Maine, but the majority of it's been Bob Lucas. All we've had for Maine are more of the studies and permits and design work that's been done. So that's that page. And then if you can flip to the next one, Catalina. The next two are, one is just details by category. And then the third page after that is actually by vendor within category. So you can see who has been working on the project and the expenses there. So what you'll note is, of the remaining balance, the 22.6 million, 18.8 of it is in bonds, 3.7 still remains in grant funds. Now, we do submit quarterly grant reports for the items that are eligible, and they're only Maine. So the reason we haven't spent a lot of the grant proceeds yet is because the focus has been on Bob Lucas. So what you'll start to see into the next year is more utilization of both of those line items. And yeah, if you can scroll to the next page, Catalina, same totals, just a little different way of breaking it out. So you can see what's been broken out, spent in terms of administration, salaries and consulting, legal, and then you get into your project, architect, permitting, studies, all of that. So these are the financial reports. Again, they're preliminary. We've got a few things that will be adjusted during the audit, but this is where we're ending the year. Are there any questions on any of those reports?
Questions?
So what's not presented here is what Mernal and Sarah have been talking about, and that's the CFD. So that's completely separate from all the capital spending. So we do budget that total assessment, and then we use that to make the bond payments. So I'm sorry, I was about 2 minutes late into the meeting. I'm not sure if any of that was covered. We talked about, I think, there being a deficit, and the number to date, we're still waiting on a few more reports, is about $190,000 that we're short in making that September payment.
Wait, sorry, what was it?
Have we talked about that? I didn't hear it in their presentation. It talked about what we need to assess to make it, but I don't think we've talked about the next upcoming payment yet.
No, and we're going to be taking an agenda item to the board next week to loan the CFD money to make the full debt service payment. Do you want to explain, Christy, how they clawed back some money?
Right.
So we didn't collect enough because of the deferral that the governor gave to property taxpayers.
So when they're calculating that assessment and deciding how much to assess to each parcel, and we put in the budget, you notice there was a line for delinquencies. So we have a small percentage that we know are going to be behind in their payments. But this year, because of the governor's initiative or proposal, or I guess maybe whatever it was, the law that he put into effect said that you could defer your payments till April. So there are homeowners assessed the parcels that did not pay. So normally what happens is we collect it during the year, and it's enough to make both your March and your September payments for principal and interest. And this year we've made the March payment just fine, but the September payment we are behind, and it's less than 20% delinquency / deferrals that have been made. So it's about 190,000, just a little bit short of that. And what Nikki was referring to is typically what happens is the county assesses it. We get 40% advance, 10%, 40, and then as the final payments are made, the county turns over the money. This year in May, because people were deferred, they had actually advanced the district too many funds, and so they did take back about $70,000, which is what created just a little bit bigger deficit. So I think unless people have applied for exemptions or intending not to pay, we should recoup all of that in April when all those past taxes are due. But between now and September, we need to come up with the funding to be able to make the debt service payment and then collect it and pay it back to the district as those monies come in.
So it's just draw down general fund and then
Right.
we get it. So like, it's no problem. Okay.
But it's something the board will see next week and
Next week.
will authorize us to do it and pass a resolution as such.
Okay. What was the number you said?
It's right now 188,000. I'm waiting on the final report from the county
Okay.
because
That's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
we could get a little more. They could take a little more back. I don't know. Based on the delinquency number, and I think NBS Sarah talked about, we're pretty close. So I'm hoping there won't be any additional funds going back and that we'll see a few dollars collected yet. Otherwise, it'll be pretty quiet on collections until April.
Okay.
It was just a short-term no payable, like it's retired next
Yeah.
year. maybe.
Yeah, we just got the resolution.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions for Christy?
Nope. Thank you.
Report's looking good, very clear.
Very good.
Christy, just a quick, are you still there? Are you gone?
She's here.
Yes, I'm here. Yeah, I'll be in the meeting.
A quick question, I'm always curious about like how on track we were in terms of Bob. Do you know, like per our plan versus what we spent, what that number was?
You mean in terms of the timeline for construction, or what was, I didn't hear?
No, dollars. Just dollars. Yeah.
Yeah, no, and Jennifer, it's been a couple months since we've done that report, but she and I connect on the timeline. But so you've spent less than was budgeted because the timeline has been shifted back a little bit. But in terms of dollars being over in any particular line, I don't think there's any concerns yet. That could be different when you go to bid out the main library.
Right.
Selected that contractor, we could see different costs. But in terms of Bob Lucas, right on target. In terms of interest, exceeding what we budgeted. So
Okay.
really
Yeah.
positive to this point.
Yeah, we haven't fully spent the contingency, but it's close.
Okay. No, I mean, as we're closing out the program, right? That should be a very important data point for the future and just to track our overages and how close we were
Oh,
to
yeah,
the program.
it's pretty right on track.
Okay.
With what we estimated and what we're spending.
Thank you.
Yep. The one thing I'll just mention has helped a little bit is you have received some private donations, and those are for particular areas, but that is helping also balance out price increases and such.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. So I guess that wraps up the CFD financial report. And now we'll talk about the resolution.
All right, so, much of what you're seeing in the resolution and the staff report related to levying special taxes are what were presented in the special presentation by Sarah and Renal. So as you can see, we are recommending as staff and consultants, I would say, we're grateful that the county was able to change the land use code to designate the developed versus the taxable contingent. We did, the last page of the report shows the budget, which is the almost 3 million to pay the debt service in the next fiscal year, as well as the $1,020,400 that will make the budget balance in terms of service and operational funding. Again, as a reminder, that was the money that we collected last year through the parcel tax. And we did print out and show Boone, you have it too. So previously, on the property tax bill, we had 2 lines, one of which was the parcel tax passed back in 2014. Last year, that was $67.45 per single family home. That line will no longer show up on the tax bill, and it will just be the one line that captures both service and operations as well as money to pay the debt service. So based on the numbers that we collected from the county, we're recommending that this committee recommend to the board to approve the special tax rate, which would maximum tax the developed properties at 0.108 cents per square foot. Once all of that's done on that over 8,000 properties, the taxable contingent properties will then be taxed at 0.056. of which we'll then collect the full amount to be able to, keep the library running as we hope to, as well as do the main library building project and pay the debt service.
So for this one, we have zero relief, am I understanding right, from the state? Like, because it's a debt service, we're not getting any
This,
some funds or of any kind.
the state did approve, or put us in the bill for 3.6 million that we're gonna collect and help us, fill gaps as we need. We
But
still
that's for the bigger gap, right? Not this specific debt service gap. Because we're gonna have like actual staff payroll gaps because of the,
Right.
yeah, yeah.
Right.
So 3.6, then that's the 1, 2, and 1, 3.
Yeah, it's, we're collecting this year approximately 5 million. But
Oh,
again,
that's a good
that was, we asked for 5 years worth of funding at 15 million. There's no guarantee that we'll receive other backfill moving forward. It is our goal of the Crisis and Recovery Committee to go back to the state next year. But that money, when we collect it, is really meant to help us identify those shortfalls when they occur and be
Right.
able to cover budget deficiencies.
Yeah, so this proposal is basically us making ourselves whole without any external help.
Correct.
I think for completeness, I would like to request that we also do the math to show hypothetically if nobody burned down, what the rate would be that we would set it at. We're going from like 50 cents to X amount, right? 75, 72, something. Because it does, and again, I am delinquent, I haven't paid my taxes, I'm not thinking about it till X years. But it does seem like we are putting a burden on the people who are still here, right? Without a clear understanding of, like you mentioned, the 3.6 and the 1 point blah, we are getting some help and we don't know what the level is. And I feel like as we get clarity in the future, we should rebate back maybe if there are excess funds, but we don't know that at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
So I think my request / recommendation is for completeness, if we could run that little bit of math just to show what the impact is on the folks that are still standing, right? Because they're gonna have to pay an extra quarter or something. Yeah.
Sarah, how difficult is it to calculate what the rate would have been if we taxed everybody the same?
Well,
Based on-
the amazing Charmaine has actually run that while you all were talking to Christy. So they would actually be at 0.0896 would be the rate per building square foot. So it's
Yeah.
actually a little more than I was kind of estimating off the top of my head. But yeah, so they're going from 0.896 up to the rate that we showed in the presentation, which was 0.108.
Yeah, that's shockingly a lot.
2 to 3 cents.
So just
Yeah.
under 9 cents
Yeah,
would be the rate for everybody
right.
across the board versus almost 11 and then
Yeah.
5.5.
So I think for completeness, it would be good when we go to the board to add that data point, just to show the amount of hurt that we're adding for the folks that are still standing. And I think us being a good district, if we do get the rebate funds back and there's an opportunity for us to give it back, when we reassess in the future, we should, I don't even know how we would, is that even possible? I don't think it is, right?
Credit.
Yeah.
I mean,
Exactly, right, yeah.
That would fall.
You're covenanted to levy for debt service.
Yeah.
So
Yes,
you don't
yeah,
have
you have to do
flexibility there, right? You have flexibility on some of the other components, but not on the debt service piece.
Yeah.
I think that's probably why Renal turned her camera on too.
I did. Exactly. So, you could apply it towards the services piece and reduce that levy in the future year. So say you get $3 million, you could adjust the services component, but the debt service you need to levy
Yes.
because of that covenant.
Service, but also too is like given the whole big picture situation, we for fall the following years, whatever
Yes.
comes in, we should
Right.
apply to that.
Yeah.
Versus funding it back up.
Yeah, so this is all like because of the unknowns, but I do think that we should show that the delta, hopefully, if people understand that the pin is only 9 cents, and hopefully it won't go up in arms. And I think that would be my only recommendation.
So Sarah, do you think that's possible to add in that as like because I'm assuming that is an option, that we could levy all property at the same rate, or no?
No, right?
No, not an option.
Okay.
It is not an option to levy. We have to levy so the way that the rate and method of apportionment works, we have to levy all developed property up to 100%. Once we hit 100%, if we still need to collect additional monies, then we levy taxable contingent. We can't levy taxable contingent until we've levied developed at up to 100%, right? Or at that 100% level.
Okay.
Right.
So as people rebuild, that number will decrease. The rate would go down theoretically across the board. But yeah, it's a tough year right now because with the shortfall in cash, you know.
Yeah.
But I do think like we'll see what comes in taxes in this next year, not only by people not being deferred anymore, but also
Increased
seeing what the
valuation.
true delinquency is, as well as, how much, because, like I've had conversations with Mark about how some of these lots that have sold, we're not
No,
paying a
they're gonna
lot
jump,
in property tax, and now just the assessed land value
Yeah.
is gonna be substantially higher, even
Yeah.
without a structure on it. So
Yeah.
I do think like after we collect over this next year, and maybe even this year's not gonna be a great indicator, but
Right.
we'll have a better sense of like if we can reduce how much we levy in services and operations, and make the adjustment at that time.
Yeah. No, I just think it's we should quantify for the folks that are left what their additional impact is to help everybody out.
Yeah.
And then if we do have overages, we can rebate that back. But my only thing is, as we rebate back, we rebate to the community. We can't like single out contingent versus developed. But that's it's okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't know, Sarah, if you want to add any language to what you have and send that back to Catalina and I based on what Charmaine, just so that like to Boone's point, they can see what the difference would have been.
We can put that in the presentation. I think that's more appropriate than putting it in the resolution. Do you agree?
Well, even in the staff report.
Or in the okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like
Okay.
language we can add in there.
Yeah, I think it could just be a line in the staff report about what it would have been
Right.
for all
And
property.
then in terms of like, you had your 3 scenarios, there's almost like one scenario as well that is just not having all the properties at that rate, but just the developed ones at that rate and seeing what that shortfall would be.
I think she did show that.
That was the third option, but we didn't know exactly what level of.
Yeah.
So we could look at that to see at that level of special tax what the shortfall to services would be at that specific level.
Yep.
I see what you're saying.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is, I guess, kind of good news.
That's good news.
Yeah, I think it's good news, right?
We pay the lines and we know what kind of ballpark we're gonna be.
Well, I mean, you can't, from everything I've heard from folks, is you can't miss a bond payment. So whatever it takes,
Can't
right?
default on the lines.
Yeah, you can't. Don't default. Keep your payments. Make sure we're okay. And it's not horrific.
No.
Yeah.
It's considering what we went through, it's not a bad outcome.
Yeah, it's not bad, right? So if it's 10 cents, it's $20 or something. It's not terrible for yeah, in the larger scheme of things, just making sure that people understand that they didn't go from 50 cents to double because of the fire. They went from 90 cents to $1, right? So, yeah.
So I think we need you to make a motion.
Yes, yeah. So, well, are we
It's a motion for,
Are we good?
for the board to review levy at the next meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we need a motion to present the new levy at the next board meeting,
and
At the rate set
at the rate set of
Yep.
in the report.
the report, which is I think 10 cents, 5 cents.
And I second. Roll call vote. Aye.
Aye.
Alrighty. Any proposed future agenda items?
We have to do the reinvest announcement bonds. We have to do that essentially.
Is that already been done?
Something like here.
We have made the recommendation of the bonds.
Reinvest announcement bond proceeds.
What am I not seeing?
That was from the last.
That's the last one, I guess, I was looking at that one.
Yeah, but has
It's
that
the
been
minutes from the-
executed? Do we need
Oh,
to follow up on that?
We do, once.
Because we haven't presented to the board yet.
Yeah, once, I'm trying to think, I have a to-do item. Christy, we need to meet with Urban Futures once, we made the decision to move forward with the project.
Yes.
How we're going to reinvest the money, right?
Right.
So we were doing this the last CFD.
Yeah.
Right?
But we voted to take it to the board.
Take
To the board, right, that's
Yeah.
what this is saying here.
Yeah.
So we don't have to vote.
Right. So now it
Yep.
just needs to be taken to the board. This committee, a group already met and
Yep.
saw their presentations. So we've just been waiting to take it to the board to make sure you're continuing. So yes, I think they're ready to go ahead with that.
It won't happen next week, but what we can do is plan on, well, we need to meet with Urban Futures, and then once we meet with them, we'll go to the board in August. Does that make sense? And then we'll talk to US Bank. We have been in conversation with US Bank about the fact that, you know, we hit the point where we could go into arbitrage and we need to strategize about that. And we let them know that we have to go to the board. So, yes. But for a
We
minute.
technically have, we have two
Huh?
meetings in August, right? This one is the July one and we have one more still, the third
Yeah,
week in
August
August.
28th, or 25th. I think we should take it then.
Okay.
Yeah. We've been scrambling just to get all of this pulled together. Okay.
Okay, if that's it, then we will adjourn the meeting at 5:37.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone. for-
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks.